Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB postgame show here. The Eagles get another win. Big Sills moved to 10-2 on the year in the battle of heavyweights. The Philadelphia Eagles prevail and knock off the Baltimore Ravens by a score of 24-19. And the score is a bit deceptive if you did not watch the game. The Ravens just marched down the field and put a touchdown on the board in the final 10 seconds of the game. It was really a 24-12 win, but the final score will read 24-19. Big Sills, welcome to the show, my friend. We'll talk to John McMullen shortly from the stadium after this Eagles win. What's your first takeaways from what the Eagles did today, my friend?
No question, man. They shut down a great offense, and their defense is for real. I mean, make no mistake about it. It's the Saquon and the Eagle defense show. You know, at the end of the day, too, we said special teams would play a factor. I didn't realize Justin Tucker had been struggling so much this year. He leaves 7 points on the board. Would have made the game a tad bit closer, but woulda, shoulda, coulda. That is not what's going to equate into getting a win like that. That is the best and biggest quality win that they've had in 2 years.
No doubt.
Okay? In 2 years, since the start of the 23 season, that's even maybe a bigger win than what it was when they went to Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes. And here's why. John McMullen in the pregame show was telling you that this team was on an iconic pace for one of the best offenses, if not the best offense, since the greatest show on turf. And for them to shut them down like that was absolutely a great performance by that defense. Man, I got to tell you, Derrick Henry, 82 yards. I mean, that's kind of in the room between 82 and 115 yards. But I thought they shut more so than anything. I thought Lamar Jackson played poorly in this football game. I didn't see a great football performance out of him. And once again, A.J. Brown, uncoverable. The offensive line was getting it done again. The defensive line, how about Josh Sweat? Nolan Smith had a sighting. Yeah. Even with guys dropping left and right, Reed Blankenship takes a knocker. Also, too, you had one with Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, at the end of the day, Xander, these guys were overcoming in a football game that was a physical game, and there's no question about it. The defense came through, and so did Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts didn't have to do anything. And I said at the beginning of the game, he wasn't going to have to do anything, which he didn't. He didn't turn the ball over. I thought he was effective when he had to be, and more so than anything, he's becoming – how many times do you watch him and Barkley on third down pick up that first down with their wheels? I mean, can you win a Super Bowl? It's becoming evident that, watch this, you shut down a passing attack in Joe Burrow, okay? That's a different style than what Baltimore has done. And you're beating teams with different styles with the same style you have. So can you win a Super Bowl? You're starting to show that you can because you're shutting these other systems down and these other teams by doing what you do best. That's being physical.
No doubt about it. Eagles were very physical today.
By the way, Jalen doesn't have to be elite when you're playing football like this on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, but you know what I like from Jalen today? Because you're right. I mean, the numbers, let me just read them out to everybody. Jalen Hurts was 11 of 19 today, 118 yards with a touchdown. He had 9 carries for 29 yards. A very pedestrian statistical performance. But here's what I liked. When the game was close early in the game and they had 4 straight punts to start the game, the defense gave them a chance. Braden Mann flipped the field, and then Jalen Hurts went on the 9 of 11 run where he had a touchdown pass in there. They got the 2 scores, and they took the lead in that game. I thought he was excellent on those 2 drives, and to your point, that's where he needed to be excellent in this game.
Well, and again, I thought the special teams pinning Baltimore, how many times did they pin Baltimore inside the 10?
I said that at the halftime show. That punt at the 1 yard line, that completely flipped the field.
How many times were like 4 times they were inside the 10, right?
Yeah.
Where they had to drive 90 yards. I thought the decision by Jim Harbaugh to go for it at midfield late in the game with 7 minutes left, I thought that was a mistake on 4th and 8. I go, dude, the chances of you getting that, punt the ball, keep it a 1-score ball game, but you didn't do it. You turned the ball over. And again, I just think that Baltimore, when I watch Lamar play, I see so many fabulous plays, but dude, I get on Hurts for taking shitty sacks. This guy's worse at it. I mean, he took some brutal sacks in that game that took them out of field position. Like I said, man, I mean, Jalen had one sack that I wasn't happy with, but outside of that, he made like 4 or 5 throws in the ball game, and the rest of it was Barkley in the defense. And if you can beat teams like Baltimore and shut them down like that, Xander, I don't care if he throws for 70 yards. That was a good performance and a really good performance by the defense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Speaking of it, let's go there. No holes defense, as Edgar brings up right here. No holes defense. Thank you for the $20 super chat, my friend. Big Cells, they're really starting to prove they are a no holes defense. You mentioned they beat Joe Burrow. They just stopped Jaden Daniels and the Commanders a couple weeks ago. They stopped Matthew Stafford and the Rams. And now, as Johnny Mack was talking about, this offense is one of the greatest shows on turf, second to that 2000 Rams team. They shut them down today too. I mean, like you said, the thing about Lamar, though, you said about Lamar, he makes some plays that you're like, how do you defend that, right? Even early in the game, I thought the first quarter was the perfect example. Milton Williams is in his face. He escapes, rolls out to the left, and he goes 40 yards downfield. And then he had Isaiah Likely, running up the field wide open, and he overthrows him. And then he had another one. He threw a worm burner into the ground. So he does leave a lot of plays out there. But the no-holes defense, Sills, shows up again, led by Zach Bond, led by Jalen Carter. Those two guys continue to dominate, and I think they're the backbone of that defense.
But quite frankly, if you look at it, the Ravens dominated in every way the Eagles in this ball game. First downs, 24-7. Total yards, 372 to 252. They outrushed them 166, 140. They were better than them in passing on 23 for 36. There was no turnovers in the ball game, so there wasn't. And here's the most significant point: is that Baltimore ran 71 plays to the Eagles 54 plays. That just tells you how good that defense is. Because again, 71 plays. Think about it, Xander. 71 plays. You hold the football team under 400 yards. Most of the time when you see somebody with 70 plays, you're talking about a 500-yard performance. That is enormous on how many opportunities you get. There was like that third quarter when they came out of halftime. Xander, I couldn't remember the last time the Eagles had the ball. It was something like 10 minutes that Baltimore possessed it, and they came away with no points. And that was a backbreaker coming out of the halftime and getting no points.
Big Sills, where does this game move the Big Sills barometer on this team being a legit Super Bowl contender? I know you've had your doubts. You've pointed out some things that you think could be a problem. This is another good win in the column versus a good team, a prolific offense, a prolific quarterback, another one in the column. Where is the Big Sills meter when it comes to Super Bowl potential for this football team?
It's by far the best win of the year. It's by far the best win in 2 years. They completely shut him down. And again, what's the most impressive thing is that your quarterback doesn't have to be great. I mean, your defense is spectacular. Your running game is, dude, another third down play where you're third and long and you're in almost the red zone, and Barkley takes it to the end zone. I mean, you can't defend that shit. How many times at the end of the half or at the end of the clock trying to get run out where Barkley gets a first down to keep the sticks going? Pretty impressive stuff, man. And again, I mean, will the passing game ever eventually come back to haunt them? I don't know right now, because you know what? You're almost getting tired of saying that, because right now it's just not haunting them. And I'll say this one more time to you here, man. A.J. Brown is completely uncoverable. They cannot cover that guy. So you don't turn the ball over. You continue to run the football. There's no question that Saquon Barkley has upped his MVP status because he beat Henry today. I mean, plain and simple. He was more of a factor in that game than even Lamar. You know who I think he's fighting it out with now, the MVP award? He's fighting it out, in my opinion, with Josh Allen up in Buffalo. Yeah. It's those two guys right now that are starting to separate themselves, because I think Lamar and Derrick Henry, they were shut out today. And you got to do this too, Xander. You've got to go over to Vic Fangio and say this. I'll tell you what, man, Sean Desai, no disrespect to you and what you did a year ago, but this guy has improved the game of Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond is unbelievable. The secondary guys, even with the loss of Slay, showed up, played out. I mean,
I thought Jordan Davis even showed up tonight, dude.
I saw a couple Jordan Davis sightings in there. Again, they did go for almost 170 yards rushing. Wasn't like they stopped.
I'm telling you, they just had. I know you were already checked into the postgame show. We were waiting to go live. Lamar did just get 50 yards on the ground
So he didn't throw it. Okay. So again, yeah.
I normally don't like to call that out, but I will say, the game was kind of put out of reach. We're talking about 10, 15 seconds
Those are
left.
empty calorie stats.
Yeah, Lamar got a 50-yard, 40 or 50-yard run there at the end of the game. So, they were better
I
than
completely thought Lamar played one of his worst ball games of the year. And that's not – I'm not saying that to go like this. Well, hey, guess what? He didn't give you his best. That's because of the defense. I think the defense predicated that. It wasn't that, hey, if you don't play well, that's on you. But when you get shut down like that, I didn't think those – hey, he missed a ton of wideouts too. He missed a ton of wideouts.
3, at least that I can count off the top of my head right now. Wide open players that he just missed. He just flat out missed them. No doubt. Now, Silas, you brought up a point, though, about, like, can we win with this? And the question is almost redundant at this point, but doesn't it feel like all these games are almost unfolding a similar way at the start, where there was the Ravens, just to recap the start of the game, the Ravens went up 3, and I thought they could have scored on that opening drive. Then they got the ball back. They went up. They scored a touchdown, missed the point after. It's 9-0. There were 2 more instances of the Ravens getting the ball back there where they could have made it a 16 or a 20 or even a 20-point game. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, uh-oh. If you keep giving that ball back, and then the defense gets a stop, Braden Mann flips the field, and boom. And then once the Eagles got control of the game, they never gave it back. And I'm like, the time for teams to get up on this team, on the Eagles, is in the first quarter. And to date, our defense has answered every test and has not let them get too far ahead. And then the offense quietly takes the lead, and then boom, it's done. It feels like that's how every game unfolds to me.
I think they need to get away from whatever they're doing with those scripted plays, because they're the worst first quarter offense in pro football, and there's no getting around them.
I don't understand it, dude. I mean, you go from 4 straight punts, and then the second quarter they light it up with 2 touchdowns. What is up with the scripted plays?
Yeah, they can't get out of their own way right now, man. I mean, the way that they're playing, and especially with, like you said, those scripted plays. Let me throw something at you here, Xander. Josh Sweat right now, I mean, he's got 8 sacks. I mean, this was a guy that they were thinking about trading. You talk about pressure that he's putting on the football. I could make the argument, Xander, that he's the best defensive lineman that they have right now, has been playing the best D lineman of anybody all year long when it comes to pressure. Now, the overall guy is, you're going to look at Carter. By the way, Carter made a sensational play in the backfield to get that guy on the ground too. I thought he was great. But boy, I'll tell you what, you got a guy that's on pace for 12, 13 sacks right now in Josh Sweat. This was a move that Howie was thinking of making by moving him. Remember, they manipulated around his contract. They were thinking of moving off him. There was comments that he was going to be traded in the offseason. They kept him, and boy, he's been a factor, and he has benefited another guy who has benefited crazily by the addition of Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator.
Yeah, no doubt. I bet you an extension might be in works there because he's playing really good football.
Absolutely,
I think he's only on a 1-year contract right now.
Yes.
Josh Sweat, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Sills, it was the running back bowl. We talked about it all week long leading up to this thing. I thought Saquon Barkley got the better of him. Unfortunately, we just missed out on the jersey giveaway, I think by 8 yards. 8 yards, everybody, and we miss out on what would that be, a 4th or 5th consecutive week of giving away a jersey. But what'd you see from Saquon today? He just continues to put this offense on his back and say, buckle in, everybody. Get on my back, and I'll take you home to the finish line.
You know what? I'll say it one more time to you. I'm a Derrick Henry guy, and I think Henry's the best back in the game. But I will say this: Barkley's having the best year of anybody in pro football. I mean, he is having he looks so explosive. Xander, how many times does he get into that line of scrimmage where you're like this? It's an arm tackle away from him hitting his head on the goalpost.
Yep.
We're sitting here watching the game, and she's like, my wife and I are watching it, and she's sitting there going like this. It looks like every time he's going to break loose, and he's going to break for the end zone. I mean, he has been so good, and there is no doubt Man, my God almighty. And one more time, too, dude. If you're the New York Giants and you're watching this, you have to go like this. Oh, my God. I have never seen an organization quit on a guy who was still in his prime like this. You're talking about a Hall of Fame talent that the Giants ruined a Hall of Fame career. That's what this is here, man. This guy's 10 times better than anything Tiki Barber was ever when he was in New York. And for what we're watching right now, I'll tell you this, I hope he gets a chance to run through the tape. You know why? I want to see if he nails that 2105 by Eric Dickerson in 1984, and he breaks that number. You know how many great players have had 2,000 rushing yards? Derrick Henry included. Adrian Peterson has had that. Barry Sanders has had their shot at that. This kid's going to have a legitimate shot at 2105, and I want to see it, man, because Dickerson's the best running back I ever played against. And, boy, I'll tell you what, you go past that number, that's insane.
It's going to be close. What is he? Let's say he was up to, I think he had, 1392 or something?
1392.
So he had 107. So he's at 1499. He needs 600 and change. And what?
Well, he's got 6 games to go.
No, 5, right? What are we, 10-2? So we have 12. We have 5 games to go. So he needs to average about 120 yards a game.
Oh, I'll tell you what, the way he's playing right now, he may have a shot at you. And by the way, you put a couple of those 200-yard rushing attempts in there, rushing games in there, that could change the end. If he gets another 200-yard game somewhere in that 5-game span, he'll break it.
Yeah, he's playing unbelievable football. It's just unreal what we're witnessing.
And by the way, nobody saw this coming.
No, nobody did. And by the way, I think what you said is right. Derrick Henry's the best running back in the world. Saquon Barkley's having the best season right now of any running backs had in a long time.
By far.
That's not a knock on either of those two players. Yeah, both of them are. It is fun watching Derrick Henry. The dude is like Iron Man. I mean, 6'2", 250. I mean, he's iron. He's like Iron Man, dude.
By the way, you're going to have 2 running backs that are going to be 1,800, 1,900 yards. You're going to have another guy potentially at 2,105. I mean, you're talking about 2 sensational players.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Pretty unbelievable.
And once again, too, Xander, all the Monday morning quarterback guys saying, "Oh, what we knew." No, he didn't. The guy never in a million years showed this kind of ability when he was in New York. Nobody knew this. Okay? Or guess what, Xander? There would have been 1,000 more people that would have been in line to try to sign him.
Good stuff, Sills. Let's keep rolling. We got a super chat here I want to get to. Christopher Darker checks in. He says, watching DeJean uproot Henry. How about that? Made my whole day. Of course, they started slow and aggravating. Once the second quarter happened, I felt comfortable again. They were nickel and diming all through the second half, and we held strong. Yeah, credit to the defense. But how about that? Did you see that? Cooper DeJean picks up Derrick Henry and pile drives him into the turf.
The most important and the most impressive thing about him is his in-space tackling, which means he is a great open field tackler. But it's been all year long. And to do that on an elite – by the way, he's one of the 3 elite players in the game in open space. Right. Did you see how many guys that he put a forearm to just on a simple 10-yard run? He put Jordan Davis on his back just with a stiff arm. For this kid to put this guy on his back like that, hey, man, Cooper DeJean, I told you before, Xander, I'm more impressed with his skill set than I am with Quinyon Mitchell's.
Yeah, he is impressive. He's that good of a player. We appreciate it, Christopher Darker. Thank you for the super chat, my man. Good stuff there. Let's keep rolling, Big Sills. Another. What'd you make of Hurts game tonight? I mean, we kind of talked about it. He didn't have much in the air, but I thought he did what he needed to do when he needed to do it. And then once you got that lead, he kind of rode Saquon to the finish. But what'd you make of what you saw from Jalen tonight?
He's playing within himself and what they're asking him to do. Like I said, 11 for 19. They're not going to throw the ball a ton. Why would they? And here, 33 attempts to 19 passes. Their offense was not really all that great today. Their defense was the thing that was fantastic. I mean, quite frankly, look at this. 22 of 36 for Lamar for 237 and 2 touchdowns. I get a lot of that at the empty calorie time in the back end, but I mean, there was nobody really spectacular. AJ, 5 catches for 66 yards. Goddard had 3 catches for 35. Barkley was 23 of 107. That's probably the most impressive number. But there's Jalen Hurts, 11 of 19, 118, and a touchdown. I mean, what am I really supposed to say about that? Am I supposed to make a great game out of that? Or am I supposed to go, it's an efficient game? So to me, it's more of this kind of conversation. He's being efficient in the system they're asking him to do. They're not asking him to do anything special. He's not making special plays. He's making quality plays. And I think he's making the most important plays by not turning the ball over. He was, like, I'm going to agree with the L here, very pedestrian. And he's been very pedestrian probably since the break. But again, when you have a horse like Secretariat, a.k.a. Saquon Barkley, dude, I'm going to get out of the way of that. Okay? I'm just going to get out of the way. There's no reason to get in the way of throwing the football when you don't have to. The offensive line was on display once again, but I once again have to say the defense really stepped up and played exceptionally well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They did have a couple guys go down there today. Reed Blankenship left with a concussion. A couple guys were banged up.
He got banged up a bit too, but he came back.
Quinion got his first. He got banged up a little bit. There was one play there, Quinion, early in the game. He got clapped. I think it was by maybe Derrick Henry who ran into him. And I'm like, hey, welcome to the NFL, son. You're gonna have to start tackling that guy. But overall, I thought the defense, through some adversity, really played well. So as Jason A-Team checks in, defense was amazing. Nolan Smith is definitely a first-round pick. Barkley MVP, baby. Big Sills, how you doing? Jalen Hunt is so good. A.J. Brown is amazing. We win with no Smitty. Tackling was amazing. A lot of points there, A-Team. But just speaking about Nolan Smith, I mean, I thought him and Jalen Hunt both did a pretty nice job today with no Brandon Graham out there. Obviously not a world-beater performance. Nolan Smith got a sack. I thought they were competent and good. With no Brandon Graham today.
I thought he played really well on the edge, and he wasn't a deficiency on the edge. I mean, if you think about him, when the guy just says he's a first rounder, he's on pace for about 32 tackles and 5 sacks. You can make whatever you want out of that. He's getting better. But to me, once again, I think he's a good player. He's getting to be a good player. Is he a great player? Absolutely, far from it. But he's getting there. And you know what? Getting a sack.
Seeing a little more, though, right? Like, beginning of the year, we were like, I'm not seeing anything. You're seeing something now. 4.5 sacks.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, no,
he's getting there.
The more important eyeball for me today was that they set the edge, and they really didn't get out in the perimeter on him. Getting the sack was great, but at the end of the day, Xander, it was more about, hey, were they going to be a liability like Bryce Huff is? And here's something else to think about. Zach Bond made himself another $2 million today. This guy led the team in tackles today, 13 tackles total, 8 solo, forced fumble. I mean, Xander, he's on pace for 172 tackles and 4 sacks. I mean, I said he will never make the all-pro team because just the way the politics is in it. He just might make it when you have a game like that. I mean, dude, this is not playing the Giants.
Yeah.
You're playing against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
This is 3 straight, too, prime time for him. Remember, he had the Commanders, he had the Rams on prime time, and now he has a big game versus the Ravens, which really was viewed in the NFL as the game of the week this week. So, I mean, we talked about it before the game where you're like, you almost watch him and you're like, be good, but don't be that good because I want you here in Philly. What do you think he's going to go for? I mean, that might come down soon, that contract, you would imagine, if the Eagles want to keep him here.
I would make the point that I think he's between $12 and $15 million right now if he were to get on the open market, because I would say this to you. If Patrick Queen can make the money that he made playing next to Roquan Smith, think about the money that he's going to make. And for that being said, I do not believe 1 second that the Eagles will re-sign him if he's asking between 12 and 15. If the Eagles are going to make a number, it's probably going to be closer to 10, maybe 8 or 9, somewhere in there. But if he gets to the open market, dude, he's a $12 to $15 million guy. Now, the question would be this at 27. Are you really going to sign a guy at 27 years old to a 3-year contract to where the back end he's 30 years old? Or do you sign a guy with a 2-year contract and an option? Or do you stay if you're him and take the pay cut and take the razor and you take the haircut and stay in Philly because you're staying with Vic? I don't see Vic going anywhere.
No,
so
I don't
do
think
you
Vic's
stay
going
there?
anywhere. Yeah.
And do you continue to improve by making a really think about this, Xander, $1.5 million he's making. This guy's going to make 10 times that money when it comes to the next season. He's going to make a killing.
Yeah, it's interesting to say. Naz checks in. Let's go to another super chat here. Appreciate everybody, by the way, in the chat today. Don't forget to hit that like button. We should have at least 1,000 likes on the show today with the Birds moving to 10-2. That's 8 straight wins, but who's counting? Started 2-2. We're now 10-2. 8 straight wins for the Birds. Well in control of first place in the NFC East, and on the heels of the Detroit Lions, who are 11-1. And first in the NFC. So we are right there. Naz checks in. We went 11-1.
By the way, Xander, they had a better week than Detroit did.
Yes, they did. And Detroit lost another player, I think. I forget who it was who went down and was ruled out. They're getting injuries. They have a lot of stuff piling up. So this end of the year, these last 5-6 weeks are going to be very important for how everything plays out. Naz checks in. We went 11-1 with the worst defense last year, which was impressive but unsustainable. Now we have an elite defense in Saquon where the offense is more run heavy. We have a consistent winning culture. I do think you asked what's the difference between this team and last year. That's it right there. What Naz just said. The defense, Saquon, Barkley, and the culture seems to be back from 22.
Attitude, in my opinion, it all comes from the run game. You know, you create a physicality for yourself when you're in that run game. I'm going to say this to you too. As much as we want to sit there and get Zach Bonsign down, Mekhi Becton had a freaking absolutely insane great game today. Dude, he's really turned in to a Pro Bowl right guard. I mean, as big as he is in that right Hoss, every game I watch him, he's getting better and better and better at that right guard position. I mean, do you know how many elite O-linemen that they have? The center's elite, the guard's elite, the left guard's elite. The left tackle, the right tackle's elite. The running back is elite. The AJ's elite. Everybody outside the quarterback is elite in that huddle. The quarterback is efficient. Everyone in that huddle is absolutely getting the job done, and most importantly, doing their job.
No doubt about it. No Devontae Smith today. You prevail.
Once again, I didn't notice him.
I know. I didn't notice him either. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, he's becoming a non-factor when it comes to moving the sticks because the running game is so efficient.
What's up with the start of the game here with Kellen Moore and these scripted plays? Is it something to be concerned about, you think, going late into the year? Or
they're the worst NFL first quarter team in the league.
Yeah, I can't figure it out for the life of me. The second quarter flips, and all of a sudden they look dominant again. First quarter, it's like they're a new team. I don't understand the difference.
I don't know. And I don't understand why they just don't go off script from the first 25 and just go, let's go with our best plays that give us the best opportunity.
Right.
Run the rest of the game like that. I think they're still in a little bit of that mode, Xander, of the 10% that they think they're trying to change the offense and Hurts into this pocket guy, and they're not. If you notice, once again, the worst part of the football game for the Eagles is what? The first 25 plays. And those are the scripted plays. They spend an entire week on those plays, guys. Think about that. Those are the 25 best plays that they come with, 22, 25 best plays they come up with, and they have shit the bed the entire year at it. It takes the players to dig. How many times has the players dug them out of holes after that first quarter? They've done it in the entire year.
No doubt about it. You brought up the O-line. They were great today. I mean, they continue to – it looked like Jalen Hurts it all day. I mean, I didn't see the Ravens pass rush once. Did you?
No,
I didn't see anything. I mean, I'm watching the game. I'm looking. I'm like, what? Where is the Ravens pass rush? They were nowhere to be found out there at all.
I would make this point to you about that offensive line. Would I put Mulata in the Pro Bowl? Yes. Would I put Landon in the Pro Bowl? Yes. Would I have Juergens? Yes. Becton's going to make it. You can make the argument all 5 guys are going to make the Pro Bowl this year on how good that O-line is played.
They're certainly all good enough, that's for sure.
And I'll tell you what, if you're going to come out there in the NFC and try to tell me there's better guys in a better unit, they were by far, and they have probably ascended, Xander, to being, you know what, you can make the argument Detroit is doing a lot of good things, but no question about it. The only problem that I would have, and my only criticism of the offensive line in Philadelphia, is how good are they really in pass protection? They're not asked to pass protect. They're just not really asked. And every time they are asked, the quarterback takes a sack. So, I mean, we're not really looking at something that's – I mean, how many attempts did he have today? 19?
Hurts 19. Yeah, he was 11 of 19 today.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and rip the quarterback for winning against Baltimore in Baltimore. But quite frankly, again, there's really not much to talk about with him in this game. It comes down to Barkley and the defense and really, quite frankly, the coaching. I mean, so for me, Jalen is not really a high-end conversation when you win a ball game like that. It's the dude that's in the MVP race right now, and that's Saquon. By the way, it's not a rip. It's talking about giving a guy his flowers, and the guy who gets the flowers is the O-line and the running back and what they're accomplishing. I mean, you know what? If you think about it, let's look at this here, which is kind of crazy in a way. If you look at the numbers in this ball game here, Barkley had what? He had 107 yards. He had 130 yards in what? Here, he had 100. He had a 107, and he had another 10. So he had 117 yards in total offense. In some aspect, he almost had as many yards total offense than the quarterback in the game himself. The quarterback throws the ball. The quarterback had 100 and what was it? 17 yards passing in the game. And he had another what? He had 118 yards passing in the ball game. And Hurts had another 29. Okay, you're talking about 147 to 117. Think about that. That's how important Saquon Barkley is that your running back is equaling the quarterback's total yardage in a game against the Ravens, which is insane. That's how good your defense is.
Well, it is, but I do think Jalen's still doing a good job. I mean, you predicted earlier a couple turnovers, no turnovers again. I mean, that's what we need him to do.
But I also predicted he would be around 140. And
yeah, you did. I mean, I'm not saying it to criticize you. I'm just saying this is what we need him to be. We talked about this on your show. When you have a team this talented, I don't need Jalen Hurts to play like he's Batman. Just be great. Don't turn over the football.
You think you can win just like that with your quarterback not making enough plays?
I mean, I continue to be proven each week that I should believe that. Do you not believe that?
Do you think the Ravens are a Super Bowl team?
Absolutely. I think they're a contender.
Okay. All right. I think that defense is a little suspect for me.
The defense is certainly suspect.
So when you look at Baltimore, do you think they're beating Buffalo and Kansas City?
I mean, I don't think they are because they have 5 losses this year. But do you think that team is not filled like a Super Bowl roster is?
Not on defense. They were, again, if you look at them, they did a nice job on the Eagles. The Eagles had nobody really. I mean, Barkley obviously had 107, but they shut the passing game down completely.
So you don't think the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender?
After watching them defensively, were you impressed with them defensively?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't.
Well,
but I'm
more impressed with them.
When you watch Lamar Jackson, they have Lamar Jackson. They have Derrick Henry. They have the prolific running offense. They have Lamar Jackson's got 3,000 plus yards and 27 touchdowns, 29, whatever it is. I mean, they have the pieces.
I'm not really talking about their offense, though. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking when I look at their defense. Do you think that they are good enough in a game that you're in a postseason where you think they can win a game in the postseason where you have to have plays? And if your quarterback makes some of the bonehead plays that he made in a game against a team that has some balance on it, running the ball and playing defense.
Yeah, but like who? Like who are we going to see right now that's been a bigger test defensively?
I'm not ripping Philly. I'm ripping them. You're thinking I'm ripping the Eagles.
No, I'm not taking it as a rip. I'm just trying to talk to the conversation.
I don't think Baltimore looked like a Super Bowl contender to me today.
No, they don't. But when you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry,
okay,
I think you enter that conversation.
If they could play defense, it'd be a different conversation for me.
Well, maybe. I don't see a team though. I don't see a team out there that's going to put up a performance defensively that's much stiffer than that.
Okay. Well, then you think they have a Super Bowl contending type defense?
No, I just don't think there's that many teams out there that I mean, who are we going to play? The Eagles? We can't play the Eagles.
I think
we're the only Eagles.
I think Kansas City could shut them down.
Kansas City's a good defense. I mean, you're right. There are a good defense.
And I think Buffalo could shut them down.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, those are the 3 teams right there in the AFC, though. I mean, I don't know. How much better is Buffalo's defense than the Ravens?
I will say and put this here, after watching Detroit's defense against Chicago, Philly definitely has a better defense. And you know what?
Philly's the best defense in the NFL right now.
The only thing that I would say is that I think I would take Detroit's offense because they got more balance. They can throw the ball and they can run it. You can't throw the ball yet, or you don't want to throw the ball. Whatever it is, you just don't. And Detroit can, and Detroit does, and will. You don't.
So you would take Jared Goff? Will you take Jared Goff over Jalen Hurts though, or is it more of a collective?
He's done more than Hurts in his entire career. He's done more.
I feel like
he's been to more Super Bowls. He's been to more.
He's got a way longer career.
Well, he did that in his second year. He went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so did Jalen.
Okay, and this guy's a 4,000-yard passer and will throw for 30 TDs this year. So
yeah, but I don't think stats are the end-all be-all for that.
It's not stats. I'm saying they can do more from the passing game. You don't throw the ball.
Yeah, but he can't do anything off script. It's a two-way street. I hear what you're saying. Jalen doesn't play action passer
because they can run the ball with multiple guys, and they're going to have more rushing yards than the Eagles this year.
Yeah, but they can do more in the passing game. We can do more in all the other games. And in the running game, we can do.
What can you do more than them?
What do you mean, Jalen? You think Jared Goff can do what Jalen Hurts does when he gets outside the pocket?
I think he can make more plays than Hurts. Hurts makes no plays.
Come on, Sills.
Okay, really? He had 19 attempts and 50 yards rushing. What did he do?
Sills, are you going to tell me as a player, not from this game, as a player, Jalen Hurts doesn't make plays
right now? He's not impressive.
Yeah, but he's a playmaker. It would be naive of you to say he's not a playmaker.
That is not a playmaker.
Dude,
sorry.
If Jared Goff
if you don't
can't
agree,
make a throw,
that's you. Jalen Hurts with 19 attempts and 40 yards rushing is not a freaking playmaker.
So you're taking Jared. All right, that's fine. You're taking Jared Goff over Jalen Hurts?
Jared Goff has done more and has done more. Okay, hey, this guy's 3-0 versus Mahomes, too. He's never lost to him. He's beaten good people, too. I mean, let's not forget here. I mean, this guy throws for 35 touchdowns a year, too. And they are 11-1. He's not doing a bad job. He's completely changed the face of the Detroit Lions himself.
I'm not trying to criticize Jared Goff, but I'm saying I would take Jalen Hurts because of what he gives you when the play breaks down.
The passer. Okay, this is what it comes down to styles. You take that style, I'll take the guy who can make plays from the passing game. Your guy can't make plays in the passing game.
You better hope it all goes perfect because, boy, if you get
hoping anything. I'm just telling you what I'm watching. I'm not hoping for anything. I'm watching what I'm seeing this year.
Jared Goff. Look. All right, I hear you. I don't agree, but I hear you.
Okay, great. That's why we have debate shows.
Yeah, Prince Swayze checks in. Kansas City defense has been giving up points consistently. Stop moving the goalpost and finding faults within the team.
I don't have to move the goalpost when a team's going for their third straight Super Bowl. I don't. When it comes to Kansas City and these idiots bring Kansas City up, I don't have
talking about the Ravens, but yeah,
I don't have to move the goalpost with a team that's going for their fourth Super Bowl in 6 years and their third in 3 consecutive years. What goalpost is being moved? How dumb can you be?
I'll take Jalen Hurts, who has what?
4 turnovers. Have at it. I have no issues with somebody taking a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. For me, again, bottom line, I want a quarterback that can make plays in the passing game consistently. That's what I'll take. Again, when you take a look at Goff in the year that Goff's having, he's also in the MVP conversation. Here's a guy that's going to throw the ball 35 times. Here's a guy that's going to go out there and throw this year. He's going to throw for 4,300 yards and 34 touchdowns this year. And you got 2 backs with 1,500 yards in Detroit. I'm just saying, again, they're more versatile.
Recapping here, Eagles moved to 10-2 today. They get the win over the Ravens. A big win today, 24-19, but really it was a little bigger than that, considering the Ravens scored on the last second possession there at the end of the game. And Sills, just to recap the first segment before we get our first commercial break, we'll talk to John McMullen from M&T Bank Stadium a little bit later on in the show. You do think this team is making steps to get closer to a Super Bowl potential right now? You're comfortable saying that after this win today?
No question. I mean, remember what my biggest concern was in the beginning of the year for the Eagles? It was this. I thought the offense would be bumpy coming out of the gate when it comes to the coordinator. And it's still bumpy in the passing game. I thought that defense was going to be further behind. Hey, Xander, we had somebody in here a couple months ago go like this. The defense is ahead of pace. The defense is not ahead of pace anymore. The defense is caught up.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can stay healthy, okay? If they can stay healthy, they're going to be in a great conversation and a great place. Right now, the number one issue for the Eagles is what? Health. Health and depth, okay? Health and depth.
Yeah,
that's the number one issue for them. Yeah. But that's for everybody.
Exactly. That's for Detroit,
too. And depth.
Yep, that's for Detroit, too. So that's for everybody here late in the year. We'll read a couple more super chats, and then we'll get to our break. Big thanks to everybody in the chat today. We got a great crowd. Don't forget to hit that like button. I think we should be up at 1,000 likes for an 8th straight win game, or 8th straight win, a 10-2 season, and we knock off Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry, who? Big Sills, Derrick Henry, who? Lamar Jackson, who?
Hey, look, here, let me just put it to you this way, son. Barkley will knock on the door to get into the Hall of Fame. Henry will have his bust in Canton tonight.
Well, you're not wrong about that, but that doesn't take away from who won the game today. Nosty Beats said, Jared Goff and Jalen Hurts have both played in one Super Bowl. Goff led the Rams to 3 points in that game. Give me a break.
Jared Goff has been to 2 NFC title games, with 2 different teams, and is a monster in the pocket. Look at the numbers. He's on a historic pace with everything he's done this year. Hurts is nowhere near the passer that Jared Goff is. And by the way, would you really say Jameson Williams and the guy St. Brown are in the room with A.J. Brown? Maybe I would now with Devontae, because Devontae's a non-factor in your passing game any longer. I mean, they have completely eliminated him from being any kind of game plan guy. Now, I know he's been in and out of the lineup, but it almost looks like they're – hey, Xander, is this a shitty comment to say? It just looks like their offense is better without Devontae Smith in it.
I don't know if that's a shitty comment, because I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't have the same thought. I just wonder if it's easier to work in AJ when you don't have the – I don't want to say it's a burden. It's not a burden, but it's a good problem to have. Right. You're trying to get everybody involved. I got to get Devontae, got to get AJ, got to get Dallas, got to get Saquon. I mean, just AJ out there and Goddard and Saquon. It almost flowed a little better. Goddard got some touches. AJ got some touches.
Doesn't it look simpler?
Yeah. I do. It does. I wonder if that's going to be an issue there when you get late in the year. I don't want to say it's conclusive, but I do think
it's 2 games in a row where, get this, they had no concerns with Devontae. Hey, dude, when you lose AJ, there's a concern. When I lose Devontae, not really much of a concern with that offense to me.
Yeah, well, Devontae missed the 2nd straight game. Birds win their second. I'll tell you, it is a big difference when AJ goes out compared to when Devontae goes out. Not trying to knock on Devontae, but that's the truth. Philip checks in. I miss ugly, gritty football games. Clutch plays by Jalen, touchdown by Dallas, Hurts, and Barkley. I miss these types of games. This could have been a blowout if we recovered all 3 fumbles. Yeah, they did put that ball on the ground.
Hey, Philip, if you want to go with ifs, ands, and buts, if the kicker puts the 7 on the board, you lose. So if you want to go ifs, ands, and buts, if the kicker makes the 2 field goals and the extra point, they beat you.
Well, I do agree. I do like what he said, though, about the ugly, gritty football games. That was one of those games, Sills, where defense, it's a defensive football game. You know, points are at a premium, and that's why the kicking mattered, obviously. But I do agree, Philip. Thanks for the super chat, brother. All right, that's going to do it for supers. We'll hit the rest of them when we come back from the break. We'll talk to John McMullen from the stadium. Looking forward to talking to John, hopefully in the next 15 minutes or so. He will join after the press conferences, so I will check on where they are. Don't forget to hit that like button, everybody. Let's try and get up to 1,000 likes. We're up over 500 already in the like department. So big thanks to everybody on the show today. We'll be back in 3 minutes on the JAKIB Postgame Show.
Ignite your nights with